Alrighty, good morning ladies and gentlemen, this is Harry Buppet. Welcome back to another Starcraft 2 Daily Masters cast. Going to be checking out a couple more players from the European Premier League round of 32. And yes, it's going to be awesome. So let's check it out. Up the top right side of the map, it is Mr. ToD. He is 29 years of age, from France, plays for the Team XMG. And yes, he is Protoss. And his opponent, who is also Protoss, is Mr. San. Let's pull up his page just for a sec. 24 years of age, from South Korea, plays for the Yo Flash Wolves team. So it's going to be awesome. I think we've done a couple of PvPs recently. I just have a look at back of my list. I think we have. Yeah, we did Mana versus Bling a few days ago, and that was awesome, and probably some more before that. But PvP is, yeah, it's always good. I mean, mirror matchups, it's always interesting to see who exactly does what. And it looks like we've got a pretty much identical play style at the moment, both going for early Blink, both getting that gate tech out at pretty much the same time. The amount of gateways that they have is going to be important. Both have one gateway at the moment, and they're both going for 2 more gateways. So extremely standard Blink Stalker play from both players, I would say at this point. Going to do a bit of scouting over there. Not going to see anything crazy, and the robotics facility going down for both players as well. So going to be seeing a lot of Stalkers, going to be seeing a lot of Immortals, going to be seeing a lot of guys just going against each other, and it's going to be down to, yeah, down to macro, I think is going to be the play. Macro and micro to a certain degree. But if both Blink coming out of both players, I think assuming their micro skills are high enough, they should just be fine. And the economy is pretty much identical for both players at this point. Expansion timing, of course, going to be another big thing. We can see that ToD is going for one at the moment. And it looks like San is saving up as well for an expansion. So he's going to be a little bit behind, but it's almost negligible. What's going on here? The probe is running for it. He's getting the hell out of there. Not going for an expansion. He's decided to switch it up instead and build 3 more Stalkers, which brings him up to 6 over 2. So San deviating a little bit here from the standard playstyle here, and is sending his probe down to get the Nexus, I assume, but did delay it a little bit to get those extra Stalkers, which is only going to really help if he goes in nice and fast. If he waits, it's not really going to make much of a difference, but we will see right here. If he gets an observer over there, and he's not moving one across yet, his observer is over there. So if he's thinking about attacking, he needs to start lumping that observer over there ASAP to get the high ground so we can blink onto this high ground ramp. And at this point, I don't know if it's going to happen. I mean, he's got 6 Stalkers, ToD has 4. So getting those 3 Stalkers instead of the Nexus is a little bit confounding me at the moment, unless he was seriously scared about ToD suddenly running in and owning him all over the place, which hasn't happened. So there we go. San may have just shot himself in the foot a little bit for no apparent reason, but then again, we know that he shot himself in the foot a little bit because we know exactly what ToD was doing. San, no idea what ToD was doing, but then again, he was thinking about building the Nexus, decided to build the Stalkers instead, and it was a decision that he obviously made for a variety of factors. It turned out to be the incorrect decision based on what we know about what ToD was doing. But then again, playing safe from San's point of view, not necessarily a bad decision, and it's not going to slow him down too much in terms of the income. Although ToD is starting to push ahead right now. He's obviously been chrono boosting workers very fast, but it's a 5, it's a 3 worker lead. It's not huge. Over a very long period of time, it'll help, definitely, but I assume that ToD will stop building workers at some point, and then San will have a little bit of a chance to catch up, so that is going to be fine. Taking out the pylon just for the hell of it, so very nice map awareness there from Mr. San. There's a hallucinated Phoenix, yeah, that guy didn't last long, and there's a pylon down there, so that is going to be very good. I don't think ToD has any idea this pylon is here, but wouldn't be a bad idea to start scouting for it at some point. Let's have a look at the Immortal count. We do have 2 for both players. San pushing for the Robotics Bay, and upgrades wise, they're both going for level 1 weapons. San a little bit further ahead on that, but not by a lot. Income wise, San has caught up, so ToD maybe not chrono boosting his workers as much as he normally would, and allowing Sand to catch up since he's obviously pushed very hard to get those worker numbers up. And with the Colossus coming out as well, he is going to be very, very sweet. Still finding enough time to build those Immortals. But here we go, the Colossus are going to start coming out very, very soon. And yeah, once he gets a few of these, it is going to be all over the place. Gateway count, let's have a look at that for a sec. We got 3 versus 3. Sand is building 3 more though, and ToD following up shortly after with another 2. Probably going to get a third one with this guy. Finally discovered the pylon down there. Thankfully, Sand has not tried to do an attack yet, so there's not really too much going on. And we do have the Templar archives coming out for ToD. So at this point, yeah, it's usually a case of both players have Immortals, both players have Stalkers. Do you want to go for Colossus or do you want to go for Archons? And in this case, Sand has chosen the Colossus and ToD has chosen the Archons. And he's got a Stargate as well, which is interesting because I'm not sure what he plans to build off of that. But regardless, should be pretty interesting. And we will hopefully see a third base coming out from both players in the next minute or two. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And there we go. Looks like Sand, with his first Colossus, is definitely thinking about moving out across the map. He's got level 1 weapons, which is very nice. He's got 11 Stalkers, 3 Immortals versus 5 Immortals, a couple of Zealots as well. So ToD, with the higher Immortal count and with the Zealot presence, but is low on the Stalker count, and of course is missing out with the Colossus. So yeah, 5 Immortals versus 3 Immortals and a Colossus. It's going to be interesting to see that matchup go ahead because Sand does have the Stalker numbers, so he's got a better chance of jumping in there and sniping the Immortals, which is very, very nice. Hallucinated Colossus as well, 2 of them. ToD does have an Observer here, so I do believe that thing can tell the difference between a Hallucinated Colossus and a real one, which is very, very nice. Moving on in, the Immortals trying to do the best they can, but the Force Field shutting them down a little bit. The range is not the best, and the Colossus coming in trying to do some damage, but the Nexus Overcharge is in there as well, doing quite a bit. The Immortals getting up on the high ground, doing quite a lot of damage. These guys finally getting in range. The only actual Colossus taking some damage, and the first Tempest comes out and just blows it away, but the Stalkers are still trying to do what they can. The Immortal numbers are still there, but Sand still has a few Immortals of his own. The Zealot's starting to get in there nice and close though, and that is going to force Sand off and just sort of fall back. As yeah, if he timed that a little bit later, he could have had level 2 weapons going in there. But yeah, I can understand him going in there. If he went in a little bit later, there would have already been a Tempest at the start of the game, and the Colossus would have been shredded, absolutely shredded. So yeah, Sand is going to have to start thinking of something else at this point. He's getting Zealot Legs, which is good. So a lot of Zealots with Zealot Legs is going to be a very, very strong versus a lot of stuff that ToD has right now. He's got no Colossus, so he's not going to be able to deal with the Zealots extremely effectively. The Archons are going to be able to hold off a bit of Zealot damage, but they don't have the advantage of being in the back and staying alive for that much longer. Usually Archons are one of the first units to die, even though they have a lot of health, simply because they have to be out in the front. They've got such a limited range. So yes, bunch of stuff going down here. We do have a single Zealot got walked out. Does get a nice scout on the amount of Zealots coming out for Mr. Sand, so that's definitely something that ToD is going to be very interested to find out about. He's getting his own Zealot Legs coming out as well, which is a good idea, and we do have Archon Tech coming out for Mr. Sand, so it's going in a big wheel at the moment. Everybody's getting everything they can, and yeah, the only difference is ToD has Tempest and Sand does not, but with no more Colossus being produced by Sand, and he'd be insane to be producing Colossus at this point, the Tempest are pretty much useless. They got the range and they can do a bit of damage, but they're not going to be countering anything. They're going to be providing a lot to this, basically just another unit shooting stuff and doing damage. They're not countering anything. So definitely understand why ToD is not getting any more Tempest out here. I think he's just got one, and that's all he needs. And even if there is one Colossus that Sand does decide to jerk out and build, one Tempest is more than enough to take care of that relatively quickly. So yeah, there's no reason for ToD to build any more than that. And he's just going for some standard stuff, going for Immortals. Probably going to be going for a bit of Zealots as well. He does have a decent amount of Zealots. Getting some High Templars, going for Archons. Archons, of course, very, very good to have at any point in the game. Sand does have level 2 weapons, going for armor as opposed to level 3 weapons. So ToD is going to have level 3 weapons, but it's going to take a little while. Meanwhile, Sand can run in the next minute or so with 2-1, and then he is definitely going to have the upgrade advantage over ToD, although only until level 3 weapons starts to pop up. So I definitely think it's an interesting play here. You go for the armor because you know it'll finish before the weapons, and then you see what you can do with that little gap after your armor is finished but before the weapons are finished for your opponent, assuming that they're going for weapons, which maybe he's sort of figuring that, I'm not sure. But the Stalker's getting in there, doing a nice job. Is he going to move in there? Let's have a look at the unit count. He's 116 over 91, but ToD has pushed out with the worker numbers at the moment. The Stalkers are really pulled this main army away, giving Sand a little bit of an opening to move in here, but it's not going to be too much of an opening, and he will get up on the high ground. He'll have to run straight in here and attack. He's got so many Zealots. The Archons are going to be doing a fantastic job at taking out the Zealots though, but will it be enough? That remains to be seen. And of course, ToD does have his own Zealot numbers. You can see him pulling back into this corner to sort of reduce the area that the Zealots can go ahead. Half of them can't even attack because there's not enough surface area of the army to go on, but still the rest of them are doing a fantastic job, and the Zealots really, really turning this game around. The last of them all going down. There's just the air unit at the moment. It is going to get destroyed. And I gotta say, man, when it comes to mid to end game Protoss PvP, the Zealots really start to show their form once they've got Zealot Leaf. They just swarm around everything, and it's not even the damage that really does it for you. I mean, the damage is good. The damage is quite good for a melee unit, but it's the armor. It's the fact that they're right up in front. They're the first thing that the enemy shoots at, and they just are so bulky. 100 health, and they start off with 1 armor by default, so every additional armor you give them is huge. And Sand going for the level 1 armor upgrade as opposed to level 3 weapons, and focusing on Zealots just worked so well, and you saw how well those Zealots just went in and just completely tanked that entire army from Mr. ToD. I mean, Immortals suck versus them, Stalkers suck versus them, because Immortals and Stalkers are both designed to hit armored units, and the Zealots, of course, are not armored, which gives them a huge advantage against the Protoss force. So that's it. Beautiful, beautiful play by Mr. Sand right at the end to get it out there, and that's it. Game done. So thank you very much for watching. I do believe that ToD did have level 3 weapons at the end, so he did manage to get it, but his whole army was dead by that point. So unfortunate, but there we go. Mr. ToD taking a loss there, and Sand winning the game. So congratulations to him, and thank you very much for watching this game. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys tomorrow with another one. Stay tuned.